G'day guys and welcome back to this week's episode of the Red Vest podcast. I've got a massive treat for you all today. A Big Brother 2020 contestant, Mat Garrick. Matt finished 4 in the 2020 season of Big Brother. He talks to us about his experience inside the Big Brother house, some of the relationships he made along the way, and his bromance with Big Boy Gozza. We also talk about living in Broken Hill, growing up with Tex Walker, and his interest in American sports. He also gives us a quick insight into his next Friday legend. We hope you guys enjoy this one as much as we did. Cheers. G'day guys and welcome back to the Red Vest podcast. Today, a very special guest, Macca. This is a big one. We've been hoping for this one and we've got him, the big fish, the big boy from Broken Hill, the second time, Big Matty Garrick. How are you, mate?
Good, fellas. Thanks for having me. Don't know about a big fish, but I'll take it.
Definitely, mate. And we're rapt to have you on because Macca and myself, big fans of Big Brother, but also big fan of you, mate. You know, everyone back here in Victoria is barracking for Big Gozza. But we had you, Matty, so we're pretty happy with you.
Thanks, boys. It genuinely means a lot.
It's awesome, mate. And a bit of a different flavour for our show today. Usually we're talking to people about their football careers, but with you, we're going to talk about a bit about your time in the Big Brother house and how you got in there. So we'll start off with it, mate. Firstly, how did you actually get onto the show? How did you go about applying and getting through all the processes?
Oh, look, they just wanted a really good-looking bald bloke, so I think they headhunted me. But truth be told, I actually threw my hat in the ring and applied for Survivor. And the same production company had Big Brother this year, and they actually sort of approached me and said, "We love your Survivor application. Would you be interested in doing Big Brother?" And I said, "Look, to be honest, what Big Brother became, no, I wouldn't be because I'm 30 and engaged. I'm past that. 25-year-olds all sitting around a pool trying to shag each other. But they assured me that it was going to be different. It was going to be more like Survivor. So did a Big Brother application up and made my way through all the different processes and stages of that, and was lucky enough to get a gig."
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And the stages of getting there, did you have to go through? Obviously, we saw a few people talk about the different stages of applications. Did you have to go through much of that, or were you pretty much just selected straight in?
No. So my process was very different to a lot of people's in a sense that I didn't have to go to any cap cities and do group auditions. All of mine pretty much was done over Skype, but they were pretty sort of extensive interviews I started pretty well at the bottom with the shit kickers and then made my way up through higher and higher levels of production and psychs and did pretty well the same stuff that everyone else had to do, but mine was just on an individual level over Skype with all the different powers that be. So I guess that's one of the pluses of living out in the middle of nowhere.
Buddy, oath.
Too dear to fly me anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Buddy, talking about also the first night and how that panned out for you. So getting to the Big Brother house, obviously we see everyone drives in, gets dropped off with their bags, meets Sonia, goes in. What was that like heading into the house? Were you a bit nervous?
Oh, I was shitting bricks, boys, I'll be honest. Just didn't know what to expect. And then they come and got us from this little hotel room thing that we're staying in, literally put a hood over my head, got in the car and said, "Don't talk," walked us in, sat us in the back of the car. And it felt like it must have been an hour that I was sitting in the car with these two ladies from production, and not a word was said. And about half hour in, I was like, "Is this what you normally do on a Monday night?" And they're like, "Stop talking." And then we waited about another 20 minutes. I'm like, "Geez, I feel like Chappelle Corby here." And they're giggling, going, "Mate, shut up." So I was like, "Okay, sorry." Anyway, drove up, pulled the hood off. I'm in this back room thing, get mic'd up, and then hood back on, into the car, driven up to the front. And here's bloody Sonia Kruger, who I never thought I'd meet in my wildest dreams. I thought it might have been like at an airport and I'd, yell out, "Onya, Sonia," or something stupid like that. But then, walked into this house, and normally in a social setting, I'm sort of one of the bigger personalities or voices, and walk into a place where there's 10 or 11 other people that are also that. And it was sort of like, there was a moment you didn't see where sort of Xavier and I took a step back, and I was like, "Mate, are you all right?" He's like, "I don't know if this is me, hey?" I'm like, "Oh, thank God you said it, because I'm the same, mate." So it was very confronting, but also very exciting.
Yeah,
Did you
Matthew, do you
find
want to
yourself
talk?
like,
Yeah.
did you find yourself holding back and like not trying to be yourself those first few nights, or were you pretty much yourself from the get-go, do you reckon?
Oh, I think it was myself from the get-go, but
Yep.
there was a few certain individuals in there that in real life I would have just said, mate, pull your head in. But I
Yeah.
just sort of had to
But
roll with it a bit, because as soon as you do that,
yeah,
you put the old target on your back. So I was a bit reserved in that sense, but I
Yeah.
feel that outwardly I was definitely myself.
yeah,
What
definitely.
was like the hardest thing that you had to get adjusted to in those first few days? Do you reckon it took you by surprise, maybe?
Oh, I think the food initially, as silly
Yeah.
as that sounds, it was bugger all tucker, but just the fact that there was certain people, and I worked out pretty quick. Like everyone's dynamic in the group, but certain people that it wouldn't matter who's talking. If they, as soon as they start, it's like, I'm the center of attention. You have to listen to me. And there was times where I was just, I just bit my tongue until it started to bleed, because it was
Yeah,
easier than starting any confrontation. But no, it was very interesting. A very interesting dynamic those first few days.
definitely. And we'll talk about the bromance quickly with Big Goz. Now, going into the obviously a bit of a footy head yourself. Did you know who Goz was when you went in, or did you sort of?
Yeah, no, I knew. I'm a big fan of the famous the Big Red Shed,
Big Red
guys'
Shed.
Instagram videos, old sushi chest.
Yeah.
And night one, I knew who he was, and obviously I'm a mad footy fan. So even if he didn't have his Instagram thing, I would have recognised who he was. But it sort of, in a weird way, put me at ease a bit, because I was like, oh, I know who this guy is. I know I've got a lot of common ground with him, and I know he's a funny bastard. So it was sort of, it helped ease my nerves a bit. And from night one, we were sort of on the same page, and yeah, the bromance, as you saw, developed into something quite beautiful.
Definitely, it was beautiful. And we'll talk about some of the most surprising things in the house for you. What was a really? It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. What was a really surprising factor for you in the Big Brother house?
Oh, surprising factor. Goz is snoring on night one. Jesus Christ.
Pretty shocking.
Actually, that was probably one of my funniest moments in there. Like, he come out and he's like, oh, I slept like a log. And I was like, mate, your name is mud out here. And he's like, oh, no, I snored, didn't I? But one of the most surprising things, I think, just for me, how well I actually got along with everyone. Like, I get along with most people, but I was sort of expecting that after the first couple of days to, have a bit of a chat and, 3 or 4 words, and they're like expecting a lot of dead space, a lot of dead air. But the ease of conversation with everyone, I thought was a lot better than I thought it was probably going to be. But I guess that's why they cast the people that they cast. So in a sense, we did all get along. There was a lot of us that were, at each other the whole way, but there was a lot of stuff you didn't see where it was just really, really nice conversation, which I was surprised how well that went.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Yeah. So, like, with the whole, obviously it's a TV show. We only see an hour and a half, or every couple of nights out of the whole time you're in there. Was there actually anyone, like, you obviously don't have to answer this, but was there anyone you actually didn't really get along with that you were sort of like, oh, I'm pretty keen for you to like get out of here?
Oh yeah, there was no. Look, I'll be honest. I think night one, God said about young Alan that he wanted to throw him over the fence, and he was probably the person that I didn't connect with more so than anyone. I just struggled to find anything that we could talk about, in a sense. Like, there was no real common ground, and I found the only time that he actually approached me and wanted to speak to me was the first time he was up for eviction. So I saw straight through it. I was like, hang on, you're just trying to win me vote, Shag. So, but like, not a bad person at all, but just very, very different to me and from a very, very different background. So,
I think you're not alone on that one.
Yeah. Just didn't dislike him. It was just, he was full on. Like, night one, that was the first words I said in that house. He ran towards me. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And my first words were, whoa, settle down, mate. I was like, that's not what I thought I was going to say first in this house. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like that's what I was going to touch on with all the like different personalities going in, and like there was some different ends of the spectrum from like Ian, who's a bit of a quiet guy, had come out of shell, to like your Allens and your Angelas were over the top. Like, did you find it hard? Like, you said you've got good common ground, but did you find your social skills developing, talking to all these different kinds of backgrounds, and like, did you find yourself talking better than you thought you would going in?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I don't know about talking better. I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles, but I went in there with an open mind. Normally, I guess I'm probably guilty of being pretty set in my ways, pretty focused on what I believe in. But I made an effort to go in there with an open mind, with open eyes and ears. And if people have different views on the world than me, then it's up to me to give them the time and listen to them. And I think that definitely helped. And truth be told, coming out of there, I probably didn't learn that much about myself in a sense, but I took a lot of learning from my other housemates and the way they approached life and their views on the world. So that's what I really took out of it more so than anything. And yeah, I'm really grateful, really glad that I went in with that frame of mind for sure.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
one other thing I want to talk about as well in the house is the challenges. This year was obviously a lot different to other years that they've had on the Big Brother show. With the challenges in terms of the ones where you have to wear a harness or you have to, be, I guess, briefed on safety. How does that all work in the four
Behind the
walls?
scenes.
Because obviously we don't get to see that.
Yeah, so the challenges, just quickly I'll touch on, I was absolutely pathetic at them. Embarrassment to myself, my family and my trade, so I apologise to everyone. But no, so there was two guys that pretty well ran the whole challenge side of it. And when we were in our hotel lockdown, they came around, measured us, height, weight, like stretch, reach, everything. So everything in each challenge was purpose built for each housemate. So the basement's a bit of the magic of TV. It's not actually attached to the Big Brother house. So when we get called to a challenge, I don't know if I'm breaking trade secrets there, but sorry, I'm doing it in the mole. We'd get called
Redvest
into
exclusive.
we'd get called into the bedroom for lockdown, and then we'd meet a producer at the end of. There's a secret doorway at the end of the hall near the diary room.
Yep.
Slip out the back door once again, hoods or blindfolds on, into a bus that was all blacked out. It's like we were bloody been kidnapped.
Really?
And driven probably about a kilometre to a big space. It looked like an old basketball court. And yeah, we'd go in there, and all the challenge was set up. You'd have the film crew there, and then the two guys running the challenges, the head producer, and then a safety guy. And anything that was more of the outrageous challenges, every person had a safety spotter as well. So things like if harnesses or anything like that busted or anything, you'd whack your hand up, you'd speak to your spotter, and then they'd speak to the head safety guy. So yeah, you obviously don't see any of that because of once again, the magic of television. But yeah, it was all very safe and all made to measure. So yeah, didn't feel out of my comfort zone at all with any of them really.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly before we move on to anything else, Macca, I want to talk about one of the biggest things that has happened while the Big Brother show was on, COVID-19. Now, we saw the episode where you guys, I guess, sort of found out a little like how bad it really was. Can you tell us yourself? Obviously, you're from Broken Hill. We probably don't even have any cases up in Broken Hill, but
We had two.
Two, okay. So you've got what was it like late sort of March that we were coming on the cusp of finding out how bad it was, and then I think, can you tell us about what it was like going into the house? You didn't really worry about it, and then finding out what that was like for you.
Yeah, so I think the last news report I watched before I went in, there was 30 odd cases in Australia, and they were just from people that had flown back in. It was still really centered in Asia at that time. So they were just people that had made their way back and they were in quarantine or whatever. So it was like, it's here, but it's not an issue. And then going into the house, didn't give it a second thought until one day there was a sign rider, like the planes, and they wrote "Stop F1," and we're like, "Oh, the bloody someone's died in practice or something for the F1." Like that's where our brains went. Like, "Oh, they're trying to call the race off." Then we sort of thought, "Oh, that's sad." And then the next day it came back and wrote "Wash hands" in the sky, and we're like, "What the hell? What are they talking about?" Like, and just had absolutely no idea.
And do you think those sign writing planes were like someone from the Big Brother house had done that to you guys to question it, or do you reckon that was someone from the public?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to bloody believe out of that joint. But no, I wouldn't have thought so. But it definitely did get us piqued our interest, and we were like, "What is going on here?" And that's when We got called to the diary room, and it wasn't Big Brother. It was one of the producers, and they said, look, we feel we need to keep you updated a bit. It's up to just over 100 cases in Australia. And we're like, well, let's get a little bit bigger. And then about 3 days later, they called us back in again and said it's at 300 cases. It's growing quite quickly. And then it was about another 3 days after that, they called us back in. And that's when someone in the crew had been in contact with someone who had tested positive to COVID. And that's when they shut the game down and said, okay, we need to lay it on the line. This is getting very serious. There's 1,300 cases. And the thing that blew, it sounds stupid because people were losing lives and loved ones, but Goz and I went in and asked for a score because we'd worked out the date. We asked for a score on the round one game between Carlton and Richmond.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we can't give you a score, but we're going to give you an update in the next couple of days about the AFL season. And then they said that it's going ahead with no crowd, same as NRL. And we were like, what the hell? And then the next update, when they shut the game down, they said, oh, it's been called off, like both codes. And we're like, what the hell? It can't be that bad. Like, how can you not play footy? And then they said next day there's no Olympics. And then all of a sudden they're talking about people fighting over bloody shit tickets over the toilet paper. And we're like, what is going on out there? So just very, very surreal. And to start with, we thought it was like part of the game, trying to play on our brains. But when they shut the game down, it was like, oh no, this is serious now.
Yeah, definitely.
Would have been like a whole other world you were looking at outside, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, when I left the house, the night I left, I stayed in a hotel at Manly Beach, and it was like 8:30 at night, and there was not a soul around, and like I'm talking nobody. And I said to the driver, I was like, Rocco, where is everyone, dude? He's like, mate, this is life now. I'm like, what do you mean it's life? He goes, dude, everything's shut. It's been like this for a month. I was like, what the hell?
So bad.
Like,
crazy.
And then like go to check into the hotel, and they're all masked up, and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it just would have shocked you. So I will change up onto a lighter note now. I think one of the questions a lot of people have been wanting to ask going into the show, did you ever actually meet who the voice of Big Brother was, or get to at least know who it was over your time?
No, even the other night at the finale, was really hoping that someone was going to sort of come up and whisper in my ear in that Big Brother voice. It shocked me, but obviously a socially distant whisper. But no, the big dog, as we called him, the one that you heard on your TV screens, to this day, don't know who it is. We actually had 3 or 4 different voices in there because Big Brother's available 24/7 and obviously needs his beauty sleep. So we got to meet two of the other Big Brothers. We had names for them. We had like the big dog, who was the one that you heard, and then there was probably my favourite one, who's a bit of a funnier Big Brother, and then late at night there, we were calling it Barley DVD Big Brother because didn't quite pull the voice off with as much gusto. And then the weekends was this an Irish fella, and he just used to take the piss as well. He was quite funny. He was like when he'd call for lights out, he'd be like, "This is Big Brother." it was actually quite funny. So we got to meet some of them, but not the big dog. That's a mystery.
There you go. It sounds very secretive.
Yeah.
It is. I
That's
thought
weird.
for sure they would have said, this is the guy, but nah, it's still under wraps.
They keep everything behind closed doors, don't they? Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, they do, the cheeky buggers.
So we'll just we'll start like wrapping it up a bit now. And one of the things I just want to ask you about going through the whole process was there anything you like learned about yourself going in that you didn't know from like the others telling you, or you sort of like adapted in a way that you grew a new skill or like listening or capability about yourself?
I think I probably found out a bit about my levels of resilience. Obviously, a few things happened that went against what my game plan was and Goz's game plan. Obviously, we were sort of one in the same in there. But and it's a funny thing, resilience, because you sort of don't know what levels of it you have until you're forced to use it. And just like I said before, just my ability to open myself up to different like outlooks on life, which I probably haven't had to do before, just because like I've come out of there and I now call an ex-AFL player a good mate, a surfy from Maroubra, an ex-bloody Olympic gymnast, an international male model. I would never meet these people in my everyday walk of life. So just being able to, like I keep repeating it, but just, taking in their view on the world has really helped me, I think, and changed my outlook on a few things.
Yeah, and
Yep,
before
definitely.
I jump into some fan questions that we've got from the members and the fans of the Red Vest, we'll talk about obviously you would have got to watch a handful of episodes on the telly. What was it like seeing yourself on TV every night? Were you like a bit like, what the fuck? Or was there times where you're like,
Oh,
oh, that is not me, stop. Like turn
it
this off.
was. There was a few times when I did the old famous dummy spit. I was just bloody crying into my glass of red wine, going, "Make it stop!" But I'm like everyone. I think I hate listening to my own voice.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I was the first housemate rolled out, and then they just thrashed. I don't know if it was just in Broken Hill or if it was Australia wide. They just thrashed that ad like there was no tomorrow. And we'd be sitting there having dinner, and you hear my stupid voice start, and just be like, "Oh,
What
shut
have I
up!"
done?
But oh, I know. It was straight up. It was like, oh, bloody hell, this is going to be a long 6 weeks. But I actually quite enjoyed watching it back. I toyed with the idea of not watching a minute of it, but then my brain started ticking, and I was probably still in game mode a bit when I was like, no, you know what? I want to know what everyone bloody else was saying about me. So
Yeah.
I did enjoy watching it back. It probably took a different sort of script that I thought it was going to, but yeah, it was still. I still enjoyed it, so it was very interesting to see what was going on behind closed doors.
Did you end
Beautiful,
up
mate.
liking the way you were portrayed on the show in the end? Were you a fan of yourself on the show, or did you think
Oh,
they
shit, no.
tweaked it a bit?
Look, everything that I'd said and did in there, obviously
Hmm.
I did it. I can't. That's not edited. Edited. Oh bloody hell, I can't even talk.
Yep.
None of that is scripted. But I'm just a bit disappointed that it felt like every day in there I would sort of be making people laugh or helping people, encouraging people. They didn't show any of that, so I've sort of come across a bit hard-edged and a bit. I was very
Like you
focused
just
on.
the winning mentality the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Like, and that is me because I'm ultra competitive, and that
Yeah,
was
but
probably, I guess, Goz and I's downfall a little bit is that we were just probably didn't take into account that the fans are going to vote at the end. We were just driven to get to top three, and I was sort of swimming along a bit. Then when Shane nearly gave me the flick halfway through, I was like, okay, let's play this game, and they focus more on that, yeah, sort of cutthroat side of us, and not really showing the lighter side, which is a bit disappointing, but every story needs a villain, I guess.
Hundred
All right.
percent. All right, Matty, we're going to jump into a few fan questions here. There's a few. We'll only
Here
go
we
through a
go.
handful.
You're a very popular man here.
A very
Everyone's got a
popular
question
man on
to
the
ask.
show. So the first one's from Mick H76. He says, "Would you do Big Brother again? And if you could take any celebrity in with you, who would you take?"
Would I do Big Brother again? I definitely would do it again, and I recommend to anyone who's thinking about applying to do it. It's a lot of fun. If I could take a celebrity, probably Long John Daly, the golfer. Geez, he'd be a lot of fun.
All
Smoke
right.
some darts, smack
Yeah,
some golf
Definitely.
balls, plenty of cans.
there you go. All right. Next one's from Georgia Cleve. She says, "If you, Chad, and Sophie made it all into the final, do you still think Chad would have won it?"
No, I would have won by the length of the
Yeah,
Flemington
that's
Straight.
what we're
Come
gonna
on.
go.
No, I don't know. That's a question without an answer. I don't know. When I left, I sort of got home and I thought, bloody hell, if I made the top three, I would have won that. But now watching it back, I'm not so sure.
Definitely, mate. Future guests on the show. It's already pre-recorded. Big man from GWS, Harry Perryman. Thoughts on Isaac coming as a bloke?
Isaac Cumming. Where do I start with him? Lucky's good looking because I tell you what, there's not much going on upstairs. Dead set.
And we've got another question here from Mandy. She says, "Did you and Daniel have any agreements or pacts in place? If either of you won, would you have split the winnings?"
Oh shit, no,
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 no
no,
way.
God, no. Get stuff, Goz.
Sorry,
But
Dan.
no, it was sort of. There was talk of if Goz won, there was a talk of a trip to Bali, and we spoke about getting RM Williams boots for each other. So we sort of joked about we'd be sitting in the pool in our RM Williams boots. So, but none of that'll happen now.
There you
Yeah, we
go.
got one
And
from Mitch Johnston here. It's a pretty big one for you.
this is,
He
this is
says,
stitch up.
you either got to kiss Kieran or be impaled by a cactus. How quick do you jump on that cactus?
Quicker than the speed of light, mate. I will just impale myself. He
What's
can't
wrong
keep
with
his
this?
tongue in his. He can't keep his tongue in his mouth, thick boy. I want no part of that.
Oh,
Loves a good chatty old Kieran.
we've got one more
Nah,
question here.
he's a beauty. I'd probably kiss him, not on the lips though.
Nah. And last question here from Beck. She says, "Who is the best storyteller in the house?"
Best storyteller. Ian. Ian, I would say.
Ian.
He just would start on something about nature and half hour later, I felt like an expert on it. Him and also Sue Bong. Sue Bong he wasn't in there long, but I'll tell you what, he told a couple of interesting yarns that I walked away from feeling quite mortified, if I'm honest.
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting one. We didn't see that coming, yeah.
Not suitable for work, I'm telling you.
Oh, no. Mako, I'll throw it over to you to wrap this up, mate.
We'll switch it off. We'll go off the Big Brother stuff now. We'll talk about your life up in Broken Hill. You're a proud Broken Hill boy. God's country it is up there. Now, you do love your footy. You're a footy player like we all are, and you play for North Broken Hill, and you've won a flag or two in your time, haven't you?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, lucky enough to win 6 flags, but it's a bit easier when it's a 4-team comp. So I better chuck that out there. It's a bit easier.
Take it.
But,
we all take 6 flags.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, they're 6 of the best piss ups I've ever had in my life too. Talk about Mad Monday. It goes to about Thursday here. So proud North Broken Hill boy. I grew up literally a block away from our home ground. So Dad used to take me down and watch the senior boys, and then debuted at how old was I? 15. There's been a lot of good players, like the great Tex Walker and Dean Solomon, are both North Broken Hill boys. Very, very proud history down at North, and we've won more flags than anyone in the comp. So we like to think we're the big dogs in town. Yeah,
good mates with Tex growing up.
Yeah. Real good mates with Texie. He was a year below me at North Broken Hill Public School, one of the greatest schools in the country.
There you go.
And he used to annoy the piss out of everyone at junior training and that. But I was a heavy ADHD man when I was young, so Tex and I are very much on the same level. So we've always got along well, and he hasn't forgotten where he's come from, that's for sure. And we're still very tight, and it's sort of, we've got a relationship, not just me and him, but there's probably about a dozen of us that are all in a group message. And even in the last sort of couple of months where Tex and the Crows haven't been going too well, it's a place where we can all just jump in and just take the piss out of each other and make each other feel a bit better. So definitely got a great relationship with the big fella.
Awesome.
Before COVID, did you get to watch him much, or did you try and make an effort to go see him as much as you could?
Yeah, we try and get down there, do a bit of a boys trip down to watch the footy at least once or twice a year down to Adelaide, and also try and tee up a weekend down in Melbourne where we go and watch all our Lyle McKangas, man. We got a Kangas game in last year. We got belted by Geelong, but that doesn't matter. We try and tee that up when Adelaide are actually playing in Melbourne too. So try and see as much of the big fella as you can.
Good
awesome,
stuff.
Mate.
And we've been trying to done our research on you, get a bit of more of a personal touch on you, see who the true Mat Garrick is that we didn't quite see on the show. And coming across, we've seen your Friday Legends posts on your Insta before you went on the show. So obviously, for the people that don't know, you've posted every Friday for a long time. It was quite a lot. How many did you get up to in the end before you went on the show?
I think I'm over 100. I reckon it was maybe like
past 150 almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty big, and became a bit of a cult sort of thing in Broken Hill. So,
how did that get started? Just explain to us.
I actually I'll be honest, I pinched it from the great rascal himself, Bob Murphy. He put up he called, I can't even remember who he posted, and he called him his Monday hero. And I was like, I like that. What if we rip into, what can I call it? Friday Legends. And then the first one was a great Warwick Whiz Kappa. And then it's sort of progressed from there to a point where a lot of local people and workmates saying, when am I going to be a Friday Legend? So maybe I'll have to start them back up. Maybe tomorrow.
Keep it going.
Tomorrow, Friday Legend.
Might have to do it. Maybe Goz. Actually, is he a legend? Nah.
No.
Stuff him.
Bit early to call that one. Yeah. And now we'll just talk about, so has Shane Warne put his restraining order out on you yet? Because you're his biggest super fan in the world, aren't you?
Oh, mate. Shane Warne walked through that door. Don't worry about a cactus, mate. I'll be kissing him fair on the smackers. Dead set. I'm in love with that. I've been in love with him since mid-90s, mate. And it's grown stronger and stronger. Liz Hurley, I was sending her death threats when they got engaged. I was like, that's my man. But no, I love the king. He's had his indiscretions. I won't lie, but love the man. And Warnie Wednesdays became a thing because Shane Warne is not worthy of a Friday Legend. He was worthy of his own segment on Matt's Instagram. So he probably tells his friends about it, I would have thought.
I think he does, actually. He's mentioned it from time to time.
Why wouldn't he? Yeah. Greatest honour he's had in his whole career.
Yeah, don't worry about the ball of the century.
Who cares? When you're on Warnie's Wednesdays, mate, who cares what you've done? Now, we know you're a big fan of all sports. You've called yourself a sports junkie going into the show. Like, what do you watch normally? Like, is it pretty much open to all sports, or what's your favourite one that you like sitting down on the couch and watching?
Oh, yeah, I know a lot of people say it, but I'll sit there and watch lawn bowls. I'll watch anything. I just love the competitive side of it. Obviously, the AFL is probably my favourite. Horse racing, if you call that a sport, I love a punt. I'm absolutely no good at it. I make a weekly donation to Sports Bet and Tab.
Same here. We like weekly multi.
Ladbrokes and Crown Bet and all of them every week. So I'm one of their valued customers. And also love my NBA, my American sports. The last few years especially, I've done 3 trips over to the States. And just a junkie on all of it. I'm one of those sickos that gets up at 3 a.m. on a Monday to watch the gridiron. So
same here.
Lucky enough, a few years back, we spent a week in New York, and over the same weekend, I saw LeBron James play on the Friday night, and then on the Sunday watched Tom Brady play. So it's pretty cool to see two of the greatest of all time to do it in their respective fields within the space of 3 days. So that was pretty surreal.
Yeah, and we love our 5 a.m. NFL Red Zone sessions, don't we?
Love it.
Do you follow a particular team in the American sports? Is there a bit of a theme not going on there? Specific city?
Not sort of New York based in a sense. Like follow Brooklyn Nets. That's because that was the first team that I went to watch a live game of NBA, and they were playing the Celtics, and all my mates go for the Celtics. So I thought, screw you, I'm going for the opposition. So I'm a Brooklyn Nets man. New York Rangers in the hockey. New York Yankees. Love the Yankees. That was from years ago before I'd even been to New York. That was just Derek Jeter and the Hats pretty much. But then the football, I follow Green Bay, and the reason being, they've big G for Garrick. So when I was young, I had a Green Bay hat because it was G for Garrick, and it's stuck ever since. So, and they're a pretty successful team and pretty good team to follow, really.
Definitely.
One of the greatest quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers as well. Can't go wrong.
Oh, come on. I could talk about him all day.
Yeah, Matty boy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. It's been one of the most fun chats we've had on this podcast. An absolute pisser. I haven't stopped laughing for about 45 minutes. We'll wrap it up here, mate. We can't thank you enough for coming on and giving us your time. After, I presume, being a very busy man lately, coming out of the show, we wish you all the best for the future and hope you're staying safe at the moment. And hopefully we see you on our screens again soon, mate, because we'll miss your personality.
Thank you very much. Honestly, thanks for having me. It's a blast to do things like this, and this is one of the good things, obviously, that's come out of my time in the house. And who knows where it'll go from here? But yeah, thank you very much for having me, boys. You rippers.
No worries, mate.
Cheers,
thank
mate.
you.
Hope Broken will treat you well.
Yeah, thank you. If you're ever up here, let me know. We'll go for a beer.
Bloody oath.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.